does it fully make sense to you how we're planning on rolling this, what we're planning on doing?
It does. I'll be honest with you. I got 3/4 of the way through the video before I started getting interruptions, but I did catch a lot of it, and it does make a lot of sense to me.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to recommend you do is, you watch it again, but does any of it not make sense? Who's got concerns with it?
I would say, this is Chris, that just when I watched it, that your percentages of where you say things should be at seem inflated, and would love for them to be where you're saying they're at. Look forward to hearing some input on how and what that looks like.
Okay.
That was the only conceptual wise that for me.
Good.
Being honest.
I just have a question though too. You said you train the CSRs, the techs, and stuff like that. When you say train them, is it a video thing, or do you come here and show them, what they need to do? Or
well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do conference calls because y'all's coach is Jim Hamilton, and we have CSR coaches as well, and that can train you on anything you need. I'm going to work more with the CSR manager, Michelle, of teaching you how to hold these guys accountable. I'm going to give you the scripts and stuff. I'm personally not going to come there. I mean, I'm booked out, almost 2 years at shops, and I can't do it. But I will do a call. I will do a call if I need to with the CSRs. Hopefully, with Michelle, I'm going to give you the information you need, and then you can work with the CSR coaches and get them, where they need to be. But as I mentioned, did y'all see in the video, I said the call center is an hourly department. Do you remember that, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. So that's how, like, well, first of all, how many CSRs do you have?
4.
4. Okay. So do you constantly answer the phone yourself as well?
I try not to, but if I see the calls going into queue, I try to jump in and grab them. But we implemented recently an overflow to an answering service that assists us.
Okay.
Normally, night calls, they're able to help during the day, so that's been helpful to reduce how much I've been on the phone.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, I don't want to lose the calls, but I want to make sure that you're not jumping on if somebody else has the availability. Because when you first roll this out, where I mentioned the CSR is an hourly process, okay, it's more than that initially. Meaning, like if I'm your CSR manager and I'm rolling this out, here's the way this looks. So let's just say that, let's say Lisa is a CSR and she books a call. As soon as she hangs up, I'm gonna say, Lisa, what kind of call was that? She's gonna say, well, as a customer's got their heat's not working. Okay, wonderful. How old is it? I don't know, Scott. I forgot to get it. Okay, good. Let's call her back. And we're going to get it. But let's say she goes, well, it's brand new. We just put it in. Okay, yep. And we just put it in. So did we put in the complete system or did we just put in half of it? I don't know. I said, good. Let's get that information. So you're going to have to, and I'm going to give you the 3 areas that CSR missed today. Well, this is where you have to create these, habits. And that's not going to happen. You've seen the movie or you've probably heard of it, Sandra Bullock. It's 28 days and where she goes to rehab. Well, it takes 28 days to create a habit, right? And that's if you do it every single day. Well, the problem is with the CSR department, it doesn't take 28 days to create a habit because their cycle is a lot quicker. They got a lot of crap going on. They might touch that phone 15 or 20 times in 1 hour. And so it really takes the chance of screwing their habits up or really messing them up very rapidly. So with the CSR department, it takes about 28 hours, working hours, to create a habit. And so that's why you have to monitor them very rapidly to get this. I say that you don't have to, but if you want to turn the ship quick, we're going to do it by the hour, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's address. So Chris, you said, well, the percentages might be inflated. Well, I'm glad you said that because if you think they're inflated, well, they're inflated. Okay. So obviously that's a hurdle we're going to have to overcome with you, and I understand that. So I will ask you this, Michelle, how many calls do we have on today for AC or heat, whatever?
HVAC 32 as of about an hour ago.
Okay. And do we know already how many opportunities we have? How many do we have that are over 10 years old?
5.
Okay. You're saying 5. Now, let's look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen and let you see it. Hopefully y'all in
Okay.
front of something where y'all be able to see my screen.
Yep.
All right. Let me find. So this 3-day minimum call board, let me pull it over here. Now, do y'all, I know, Mark, you said you used the 3-day call board. Have we added the percentages and the opportunities on it yet?
I have, since March, put in the opportunities. So I had a flow chart that's up, and it shows that we want 30% minimum every day. And so I calculate it daily and post it in the CSR row.
Okay.
I'm doing that.
So if I'm a CSR, I can look somewhere and I see something similar to this. I can see how many calls and how many are above 8 or 10 years old.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
I said, yeah. So if I'm a CSR and I'm on the phone with a customer right now, can I turn my head and see a board that shows me how many calls we have on the schedule, say for tomorrow, and how many of those are over 10 years old? Can I see that as a CSR?
No, not specific like that.
Okay, so that's one of the things we need to have, because here's what happens. If I'm on the phone with a customer, and let's say it's a 2-year-old that came in, I need to be able to turn my head and it says 2 years old and it's broken, because you've been trained to book it and book it and book it and book it and book it, right? And so I'm not telling you that's not right, because we do want to book it, but I'm just saying what drives your revenue more than anything is that 33% number. So if I'm on the phone, let's say I look at my board and it looks like this. Let's say our actual that we have, let's just say it's 31, right? And then let's say down here, I'm down to 9. Oh, I got 9. So we need 2 more calls, and both of them have to be opportunities. You would agree with that, to be 33%. So what happens is I'm booking this call, and if it's a 2-year-old that comes in, your CSRs are trained right now just to book it for the next spot. Book it, right? Well, this CSR needs to be able to go, all right, they find it's 2 years old, they turn their head and they go, I got to have 2 more old ones for tomorrow. And they go, great, I can get you on. It's not a problem. I'll put you on for Thursday. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be
Yeah.
uncomfortable at first, because it's actually going to contradict some of the things you've heard in the past. But I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to teach you how to control your revenue. I want you to be a weathered enhanced business instead of weather driven. So, but I'm going to challenge you, right? So right now you said 30 whatever calls you got, and only 5 of them are opportunities. So, all right. So right now, Chris, you're saying that number's inflated. I'm telling you, you got 6 more on the schedule, and we just don't know it. So let me teach you how to. Go ahead.
Hey, Scott, I
Yes.
think you misunderstood. I think you misunderstood me.
Okay.
So I was not implying those. I just said in general there was some specific. That would be not one of those that I had in question.
Okay. What do you have? What do you have in question?
Yeah, one specifically was we're hitting our best sales guys hitting 55% close rate.
Okay.
And I think if I remember the video, it was you had said 60 or 65.
Yeah, 66.
That's right.
Yeah, 66%.
So,
Yes.
That Scott, I like that. I would love that.
Okay.
My question is, how do we pick up 16% on a guy that operates much higher than anybody else?
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I am the #1 in-home sales trainer in the nation. I've written 16 closes. Okay. I know this business better than anybody. I don't train sales anymore, but I will train your sales guys, because here's the issue with the closure rate. Half the people don't even know what creates it. Creates this app. So think of this. I'm going to ask you a few questions. All right. Do you know when we turn over a lead? Are you ready for this? When we turn over a lead, what is our average time to us getting there? To give you an example, let's say if you looked at today's schedule and you got 4 turnovers on today, I'm going to ask you, when were those booked? Do you know that?
Yes. So I would say most of the HVAC calls that we run are scheduled calls that we're not running them in the moment.
Okay,
Most
well,
of them will have.
okay, so this is an issue. First of all, when we say most, that's an issue. That means we don't know. Okay, so
Okay,
all right, so I'm going to tell you this. Let me give you the stats. If we turn a lead over today and it runs today, okay, I have so much data, so many locations you can ever imagine. Our actual closure rate on that same day lead, same day, you ready for this, is 80%. Guess what it is the next day? It's 66%. Guess what it is after the second day? You ready for this? It plummets to 20. And I don't mean 20% from your guy, from his perspective as a comfort advisor. I mean 20 as a total, because we get cancellations. So, would you agree, if we turn it over today, we're probably going to run that. If we turn it over for tomorrow, our chances are still like we're going to run it. But once it goes to that third day, our cancellation rate goes through the roof. And our guys' closure rate drops as well. So overall, we have a net closure rate of 20%. So we're going to put a process in place that we run the leads when we run the leads. And you might say, well, Scott, I can't run them because I can't get there quick enough. And I'm going to say, well, good news is you're understaffed. And when I teach you how to make a lead generation machine, well, you have to be staffed correctly to do that. Because if you're booking them out 3 days, yeah, your closure rate is not going to be 66. So the whole process here, Chris, is designed to get you guaranteed you're going to run all your turnovers within 2 days. And if you do that, I'm telling you, you'll be 66%. Does that make sense?
I love it. Okay, man, I love it.
And then in the event, if they can't close, then I'll do a calls with your comfort advisors, and I will teach them. I'll teach them 2 closes initially, and I'll give you these 2 closes. One of them's called the concession. One of them's the high authority. I'll give you both of those, and that's mandatory at my shops. You have to learn those. To give you an example, does every comfort advisor call you in front of the customer if he's not closing the call before he leaves?
No.
Well, that's a problem. Okay, so what I'm going to give you is everything you need to do this. Okay, and if you don't, well, you're not doing the process. So I understand that, but believe me, I didn't make all this crap up yesterday. It was all made up in 2002. And I've got a lot of years.
I don't challenge anything that you're saying. You asked if we had any questions, and that was. I'm just saying, I'm just straightforward. Because unfortunately, I'm not y'all's coach. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time with you because I can't. I've got an hour here, so I'm just going to be straight to the point. And then after this call, I'm going to do a call with the technicians, and I'm going to show them how to do. If they do what they do, like right now, let me ask you this. So, Eric, you're the service manager. Do we track our technicians on their turnover opportunities? Meaning, or do we track their turnover percentage on all calls?
It's on all calls.
Okay, so we're going to change that immediately. One of the things, because think of it like this. Let's say Chris and I are both technicians. Chris runs 100 calls. I run 100 calls. Chris turns over 10. I turn over 10. You think we're both the same? We both got a 10% turnover rate, right? Well, let me tell you this. We don't. What happens if Chris ran 20 opportunities of the 100? He's at a 50% turnover rate on his opportunities. Let's say I ran 50 turnover opportunities and only turned over 10. You see, I'm at a 20% on my opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And yet we're compared to be the same. Once you track that, we're going to send the right guy. And I'm going to give you the tools you need to track that. It's not that big of a deal. But when you track that, matter of fact, my tracker does this. It tracks their average, right? It's going to track their 3-day trend. And in the event, if their trend starts to sway from their average, it's going to throw up a flag saying, hey, this guy's having something going on in his life. Like if he gets into a fight with his wife, right, you're not going to see it. My tracker is going to pick it up because it's going to see his 3-day trend, and it's going to tell you to stop it immediately. And so, I mean, y'all are getting ready to go for a freaking roller coaster ride. I can tell you that. It's going to be exciting for you. I'm excited for you. But all right, let's get back to call center call. All right, so the 3-day call board. How do we feel about it? And I say that, at least, Michelle, you have to fully understand everything about it and realize that, let's just say today you said you only have 5 on the schedule. Well, we got to find those other 6. So let me give you, and I'm recording this call. If you want to make notes, that's fine. If not, you won't get the video. But the 3 areas that the CSRs miss. Are you ready? The number 1 area they miss is and did I go over the 3 areas on the last call? Because if so, I don't want to repeat myself.
I don't think so.
Okay. So the 3 areas they miss, the number 1 area is they take the customer's word for granted. You might, what the hell does that mean? Well, let me tell you what it means. You call in, they book a call, and they said, all right, notice in the most qualified technician, I need to ask you a few more questions. Is that okay? Yep. All right, how old is the system we're going to be working on today? Oh, 5 years old. All right, I think I mentioned that on the last one. So if it's 5 years old, I'm telling you, they don't know it's 5 years old. So you have to have these 2 follow-up questions. And the 2 follow-up questions you have to train a CSR to ask on any job, say less than 8 years old for sure. Because if they tell me it's 9, believe me, I'm going to go ahead and mark that as an opportunity 10 plus. I would rather judge in error than not judge, because it's going to cost us $700,000 at the end of the year. If we miss one a day at y'all shop, it's going to cost you more than that, because you have an $8,200 average ticket, I think it was, or whatever it was. So these questions are this: how long have so the customer says it's 5 years old. You said, all right, I appreciate that. And how long have you lived in the home? She says, well, I've been here for 10 years. All right. And have you replaced it since you've been there? Your heat and air system since you've been there? And they go, nope. So you see, we now know it's at least 10 years old. Now, you're not going to get an exact, but you want to, if you want to get closer. So a CSR, when a customer says anything less than 8, they have to ask these 2 follow-up questions, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to go, it's 5 years old. We mark it as 5. We send the least qualified tech that's not trained to turn it over. He goes out and sees it's 12 years old, doesn't get a turnover. As a matter of fact, he's not even going to turn it in that's 12 years old, because he knows he's judged by that. So, Eric, do you think that would happen?
Possibly.
No, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Because when you start judging these guys on the way that I'm going to show you how to track them on opportunities, and if they don't convert it, to give you a great example, and I might have said this in the last video, if, let's say we were, you remember the days when we got to grade ourselves in bowling, right? And I don't know if you remember, I'm a little older. I know Jim Hamilton remembers. Well, I was the greatest bowler in the world. I was a professional bowler because I kept my own score. Well, the minute, we got those machines, guess what happened? I dropped down to 169 average. So I'm telling you that in the event, that when you start judging them and tracking them, they're not even going to tell you it's old or not. They're just going to fib to you. Doesn't make them bad, just makes them human. So here's what we got to do. So Michelle, anytime it's less than 8 years old, ask the 2 follow-up questions. And then, so when you're doing that hourly, like if you booked a call and I walked up and said, hey, what kind of call was that? Oh, it was a system that's messed up. Cool. How old is it? Oh, it's 5 years old. Yeah, I noticed. You didn't ask the follow-up questions. Why not? You're going to have a CSR go, Scott, I don't think it's right I asked those 2 questions because it doesn't make sense. You're asking me, they've been there for 10 years. You're asking me to ask them if they've replaced it, and it's 5 years old. So they're going to say, yeah, and it's going to look like I'm dumb. I'm going to say, well, no, because they don't know it's 5 years old. Because the number 1 answer is when the customer doesn't know the age is I don't know. The number 2 answer is it's 5 years old. So I'm just saying anything less than 8, you just put a process in, ask those 2 follow-up questions, and you'll do that, and you'll find some. So Michelle, on today's schedule, is there any call on today's schedule that does not have an age in it?
Yes.
Okay, so that can never happen again. And now if you had to guess, how many of those do you think we have?
Just one.
So I went through this morning. Went to SMAC and looked at a whole bunch of stuff and changed all the unknowns. So
Well,
there's only one that I know of.
but not that my CSRs asked.
No, there was 5 or 6 as well.
Mhm.
Changed in the packet says it's old, but they just
Right.
don't mark it plus 10.
Right.
There were 5 or 6 this morning.
So there were probably 5 or 6 this morning.
Okay, there were 5 or 6 in the morning that didn't have the age. So we have to do is we have to call those customers and we have to say, hey, in order to send the most qualified guy, I need to ask you a few more questions we forgot to ask. Is that okay? They're gonna say, yeah, that's fine. And then you got to get the age, and then you have to ask those 2 follow-up questions if they don't know. And again, when in doubt, judge and error. I'd rather you mark it as an opportunity and it not be than not, and it is. Okay. So let's say you did that and you went through the schedule. You're going to find 1 or 2 that's maybe older, and let's say that you now got it from went from 5 to, let's say we got now 7. Okay, well, on average, I'm going to tell you you're going to have 11. I'm not telling you every day is going to be 11 and every day is going to be perfect, because it's not. I will tell you this: the best CSR managers, every day will be 11 if you got 33 calls. The reason being, let's say it got down to just like this. Let's say I audited the calls. We checked all the ages. We made sure we got everything. We were really thorough. And let's say we still needed, 4, or let's say we got up to 9. Okay. Well, the best CSR managers in the world are going to say, all right, they stop the CSRs. Hey, let's take a break. We have to have 2 more calls tomorrow. I mean, on tomorrow's schedule. Now, I know this ain't right at the top, don't worry about the days. We have to have 2 more calls on tomorrow, right, to make it to our 11 on opportunity. So let's do me a favor. Don't book another call tomorrow unless it's an opportunity. As a matter of fact, I'd say, as a matter of fact, Lisa, why don't you go down the schedule and see if you can find something, pull them forward. And you're gonna feel it proactively, intentionally. You're gonna make it 11. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And now you might say, well, how do we do that? Well, right now, y'all don't have all the information to do it. So let me finish the 3 areas the CSRs miss, and then we need to start going over what we need to roll out to get all this stuff in place. So the second area the CSR misses, and I think, Mark, didn't you say in your area you don't have, like, 5% of your houses have multiple systems? Is that right?
Oh, I don't know a percentage. We talked about boilers, if I remember, but
Yeah. Well, do you have how many houses, if you guessed, in your area have 2 systems or more than one?
I would say 10 to 20, 10 to 20%. It's small. Eric's guessing 10 to 20%.
Okay, so you're not going to miss as many of these, but you are going to miss some. So here's what happens. CSR, they call in, go, hey, my system's not working. CSR says, okay, well, let me get some information from you. And they say, oh, I see you're a regular customer. Wonderful. And they say, well, how old is this one? Oh, y'all just put it in 2 years ago. Okay, great. They book it and they send out a guy that's unqualified. Well, guess what? They had an additional system at that house that was 15 years old when we replaced the other one, and we didn't document it. We didn't get it, however. So you're going to miss those a small amount if you don't have something in place for the CSRs to ask. So do you ask right now on all the calls how many systems they have in the house?
No.
Okay, so you're going to miss all those 20% then if you don't have that in place. So on this schedule that you have 5, right, I'm going to tell you, if Eric is right, you have 20% of your calls, so that's 6 of them, that have additional systems, and you're missing 100% of those 6 right there. Thank you, Eric, for the 20% number. We just found the 6 we're missing.
Okay.
Now, in some cities, like where I'm at, I'm going to tell you about 80% of the houses have multiple systems. Well, guess what? We better have that in place. So you want to roll that out. So again, we got to ask how long you lived in the home. Ask, have you replaced it since you've been there? After anything, it's 8 years and less. If it's 9 years and older, if they say 9 years and older, let's go ahead and mark it as an opportunity. All right. When we book a call, we have to ask how many systems they have. And they're going to tell you a lot of times, I say a lot of times, probably 50% of the time, they're going to tell you they don't know. Okay, if that's the case, just right. we're gonna assume you don't have a lot of zone systems out there. So if they say they don't know, if they say they have 2, I just want you to say, all right, is the other systems the same age as this one? Because they just told you that one. And if they'll sometimes they'll go, well, no, it's original to the house. You only replaced that one. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. There we go. We got an opportunity. Okay. So then, but let's say they go, they don't know. Said, all right, well, do you happen to know how many thermostats you have in the house? Well, yeah, I've got 3 thermostats, one on every floor. Well, you know, they probably got 3 systems. And if they don't know the ages of the other, I'm not telling you to banter them and beat them up. But if we know that we just replaced one last year, right, and they got 2 other, I'm telling you, we didn't replace those 2 others. You know, we don't know if, more than likely we didn't. I'd rather you judge and err than not, because it's going to cost you a lot of money in the game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the last area that CSRs miss is, and this starts with the CSR department, you have to erase the word, like if you ever see your CSR say the word air conditioner, or you see them say the word furnace, I want you to hit them with the Slim Jim, like a 30-inch Slim Jim, just smack them with it. We have to erase that from their vocabulary. You've heard me today, and I've said it probably 20 or 30 times already. A system, heating and air system. Eliminate half systems out of your vocabulary, because what happens is we go, oh, your furnace, and then we put the furnace is messed up in the call. The tech goes out and he looks at the furnace. The customer now's got this thing, it's only a furnace, and we don't even, so we might have gone out and just shot ourselves. And I'm telling you, Mike, we just killed our closure rate or our average ticket on our comfort advisors because something a CSR started. Okay, so this has been going on for as many years as heating and air has been happening, and I've been trying to fix it. Meaning that, so you got a guy that goes out and sells a half a system last year. I have no doubt that you got guys that sell half a systems now, and that comes down from the CSR to the technician. And then the comfort advisor is screwed because they're going to take the tech's word for it that, oh, he said the air is fine, just the furnace only. So now the problem is we have to change your script in the call center to identify the ones we screwed up in the past or other companies have screwed up in the past. So when you book a call and they say, all right, so I'm coming out, blah, 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 how old is it? And they go, oh, y'all just replaced it last year. You can look up the history if you want. I prefer you just train the CSRs to go, okay, when we replaced it, we replaced everything inside and out or just half. And they're going to say, no, when you replaced it, you only replaced the inside. The outside is original to the home. Okay, appreciate that. Same thing, another company. They go out, because most companies will allow half systems. I don't allow half systems at my shops. And you might say, what the hell you mean you don't allow them? So to give you an example, Chris, do your comfort advisors, do they have a price book?
Yes.
All right, and in your price book, does it have a price for a furnace and a price for an air conditioner separately?
Yes.
Then you're promoting it's okay to sell a half system. Do you see that?
I don't know if I'm promoting it, but it is available, yes.
Well, you're telling me it's allowed, right? So here's what happens. At my shops, we don't have prices on furnaces. We don't have prices on air conditioners. So let's say a comfort advisor goes out and a tech screws it up royally. The tech goes, he only looks at the furnace, right? He don't look at the AC, and he tells the customer, oh, the AC's fine, it's just the furnace. So he screws the comfort advisor before he gets there. Comfort advisor goes in at my shop, and he's only got price on full systems. He looks at both, and then he goes to write up both. She's going to say, nope, technician said I only need a furnace. He's going to be like, but he's going to try to convince her, however, and she's going to say, nope, he's the tech. He knows more than you. He's the technical guy. And it's going to screw that guy's sale, right? Well, what happens at my shop is that comfort advisor has to call into the sales manager and go, hey, Scott, I got to get a price on a half a system, a furnace. Really? Wow, what's going on? Well, the tech's told her this. So my sales manager now is going to make a note to go speak to the service manager to fix that going forward. That is good management, meaning you're finding a problem, you fix it going forward. By me basically making them have to call in to get that estimate, we're going to find our problems quickly. But let's say he goes out to a marketed lead. He's first in the door, no tech's been there, and the comfort advisor calls in and says, "Hey, I want to got to get a price on the furnace." And I'm gonna say, "All right, well, why?" As the sales manager, he's gonna say, "Well, because the air conditioner's new." All right, cool. Just go ahead and show me the picture of the air conditioner being new, and I'll authorize your furnace price. We have to change this. In my shops, it's changed, and I change it on people I coach. So Mark, I'm going to show you something here. How many half systems, if you took your month schedule, and let's say you installed 100 units, how many of those are furnaces or air conditioners only? Do you know?
No.
Okay. So you just look at that, and I'll give you an example. I went to Dean's up in Minnesota. And they're like, "Well, we don't think we do that many." I said, "Uh-oh, here come these damn words that are opinions again. Let's go look at this board." And we went to their board, and they had 3 install crews. And would you believe that 75% of their units they did there were half systems? And I said, "Well, the cool thing is that's a problem I can fix in about 38 seconds because it's a problem with us. It's not a problem with the customer. I've never gone to a call that a tech wasn't there first and walked in, the customer goes, "You know what? I just want to get half of my stuff done." That doesn't happen unless it does when a tech screws it up or a CSR puts furnace in the. So what you have to do, Michelle, is when the call comes in now and it's booked and they say, they've replaced it, you have to have that follow-up question. So when you replaced it, did you replace both inside and out or just half of it? And they're going to go, "Oh, I replaced it all." Okay, wonderful. And do you happen to have any other systems in the house, heat and air systems? "Oh yeah, we got 2 more, and do you know the age of those?" "Oh, they're original to the house." Wonderful. And you're going to now take this number 5, and it's going to go up to 11. And I say that on average it will. In the summer, it's going to go from 5, it's going to go to maybe 16 because the older ones break first. And in the spring and fall, it's going to go from 11 and it's going to go down to probably 6. And that's a problem with us, meaning the way we book our calls. We normally pull our service partner plan members that we replace new units, and we just start booking calls off of that. And I'm going to tell you that's the wrong way to do it. I'm going to tell you that's the list we go to last. Okay? So, all right, let's go, because we ain't got much time. Let's go to the things we got to roll out. Okay? So real quick, y'all heard me talk about cherry picking before in the last video. So what we have to do is so Michelle, in Service Titan, we need to create a form that the guys can't go past, electricians and heat and air techs both. And it doesn't need to know how many systems. It doesn't need to know all the ages. Here's what it needs to know. Is there a system at this house that's over 10 years old? And I don't care. It could be half. It could be the furnace. It could be the AC. I just want to know, is there a piece of equipment that's over 10 years old? Okay. So you got to have that created in Service Titan. So when an electrician goes to close out, this form pops up and it says, "Is there a system over 10 years old?" He has to go yes or no. Okay. You have to have that. Now before you put that in there, you have to have a meeting, Chris, with all the, so Chris, with all the plumbers and the drain guys, it's going to be harder for drain, but for the plumbers, you have to have a meeting that says, "Guys, we're going to now require you to tell us your opinion." Don't ask them for models and serial numbers because they won't do it. You'll actually get worse results the harder you make it. Just think of that. People are lazy by nature and want to take the easiest route. Just give them an easy route. Just say, "I want to know, in your opinion, does the condenser or the furnace, does either piece of equipment look older than 10 years old?" Just your opinion. That's all I want to know. And if it does, hit yes. Okay, so now once you get that form in place, well, who does the dispatcher report to at your shop? Is it Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So Michelle, this is to create that behavior and that habit. You're going to have to go over to that dispatcher. I personally do it probably about every 3 hours initially. You go over there and say, "All right, how many plumbing calls do we close out in the first 3 hours today?" She goes, "Oh, we closed out 10. Cool. Show me the 3 opportunities they found." And if they didn't find any, I'm gonna go over to Chris. Say, hey Chris, they didn't find any. Please get with these guys because they're not doing it. And let's say they found 3. I'm gonna say, great. I'm gonna come back 3 hours later. How many calls did you close out in the last 3 hours? Closed another 10. How many did you get? 3. Great. I'm gonna keep doing that and validating that they're getting that. So you see, I'm managing that same 33% in the closeout because these guys are gonna do this. You're gonna have a guy that closes out and just goes yes, 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 yes. You're gonna have another guy that goes no, 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 no. So when it's off, and it's gonna be off, so let's say I go over there and say, well, Lisa, I look at, let's say Lisa's the dispatcher. I say, Lisa, how many calls do we close out? And, yesterday. She said, well, we closed out 40. How many opportunities we find? 37. I'm going to say, holy crap, we got a yes habit going here. And we're going to open it up and we're going to see who's the yesers. And I'm going to take that to Chris and he's going to fix it. He's going to start now going, look, if you're going to just hit yes on every damn one, I'm going to start requiring you to send me a picture of it. Do you want to do that? No, man, but I just got busy and, and I don't feel like looking at it. I understand that. I'm asking you to do it. It's important for this company's survival. It's what helps us beat the weather. And so, Eric, the HVAC guys, they have to actually fill out something. Is a water heater older 8 years or not? Right? And this is going to feed those guys. Now, we're not even talking about plumbing yet, but when we start to roll that piece out, if y'all ever do, they're going to start getting you the age of the water heater. Does that make sense? So you can use that and say, look, they're feeding you with water heaters. You got to tell them the age. So do y'all agree we can do that?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Now the key is the accountability, and that's where most managers miss that. Don't roll it out and not look at it every 3 hours. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. You have to go in there and meet with dispatch every 3 hours. What did you close out? How many did you get? And if it's wrong, we'll slowly get better as long as you do that. And then once it's right, okay, you might make it so, Michelle, you go in there every day and just say, yesterday, how many you close out? How many you get? And if it comes in at 10%, you go back to the damn 3-hour rule. Does that make sense? All right, so that's something you got to roll out instantly. And then now another thing you got to roll out. So Michelle, once a day, you're going to have somebody in your office is going to pull this report. I don't know, I'm not a Service Titan guy, but you can pull this cherry pick report and it will tell you had this many come in. Here's the customers' names and everything. So they print that out. Right? When they print it out, then they go into Service Titan and they tag every one of those customers' accounts. So next time they call in, we automatically know it. Okay, so that's something you have to do. The next thing is that report you just printed out has to have the customer's name and address and phone number on it. What I want you to do is just go ahead and, if it doesn't do it already, go ahead and write the date you pulled the report, which it should be on there, and 3-hole punch it and put it in the book. Right? And then, so do y'all have a sales lead coordinator?
No.
All right, so let me tell you, the most important position in your company to beat the weather, to drive the revenue, it's going to make Michelle feel good, is the call center manager. Like, I would rather lose my sales manager. I would rather lose my accountant. I would rather lose my service manager. And this might seem silly to y'all, because without the calls being managed like this board shows you, I don't have a business. I am a hostage to the weather. Okay? So, Michelle, congratulations. In my opinion, you're the most important seat. Now, you ready for this? And that's just because it's first in the channel, meaning without calls being controlled in my 33%, I don't have a business, or I have a business that's chaotic. All right, so the next most important position is the sales lead coordinator. And most shops never believe me on this until they run this model for 6 months, and then they put one in place and start doing what they're supposed to do, and their business just blows the hell up. So all right, so let's look at this. So first of all, you got your cherry pick book. Now imagine this. So Michelle, you've gone through and you audited today's schedule. You can't find any more calls. You don't have any you can pull forward to get this 33% up. You'll walk up to this book and miraculously, you got a crap load of names in it. Do you think that would help you?
Yes.
Well, sure, it's going to help you. It's going to solve your problems, because here's what's going to happen. So in the summer months, watch this. So let's say April through August, you don't need any of these 7 that these plumbers are finding every day, because you're currently busy with demand, and the ones that break are typically older, so you don't need these. So now you've just added 140 names through the summer months to this book. Well, when you get to September, I've got a video I can send you of a contest that I do that ties in 100% of your people in your company. Yes, even the accountant can win. And the cool thing is what you're now going to do, instead of focusing on 33% in the let's say your worst month is September and your worst month is March. So you're going to build that book up to have quite a bit in it, right? So when September gets here, I'm telling you, you're automatically going to be lower here because you have nothing but tune-ups and crap to call off of. I mean, your service partner plan members and units you've replaced. So now you're going to be able to grab this book and you're going to be able to call and fill that. And guess what we shoot for in September and March at my shops? 50%. Okay, and the cool thing is when you fill 50%, this will show you, and I showed Jim, did I show you Jim and Mark some of my guys' P&Ls for September? Did I show you all that?
I did not see that.
Showed us.
Did I show you a PPC of anybody?
Yes, one company.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
So, but just to show
Follow
you,
maybe.
yeah, that was, yeah, okay. I just couldn't remember. I just wanted to show you, and there's validation that I've got companies doing more in their worst month ever, right, than they're doing in their summer months. And the sole reason they're doing it is because we're driving this number to 50%. And then I have to do a comfort advisor call with every damn one of those, showing them how to create urgency when they think it's not there. And actually, in a customer's mind, it's their most urgent period. But we have to unbrainwash what the hell we've ruined. And then we roll this contest out that really makes that work. Okay, so you got a cherry pick book. You got to roll that out. So you need to roll the report out. You need to have the meeting with the plumbers. You need to have the form, the form created, meeting with the plumbers. You need to have the accountability every 3 hours with the dispatcher. Somebody's got to create those, or pull the report, basically print it out. Somebody has to now go in and tag them. All that makes sense, right? So then the next thing you have, let's say you're out there. Well, there's something called a 6-month report. And I'm about to turn it on 99 mile an hour because unfortunately I said I always do this in 2 calls. I'm not going to have time to do it. Let me look for something I'm looking for real quick. Bear with me. I got a lot of crap open. Here's a contact report. Where do I have a 6-month on here anywhere? Oh, here you go. So I created this just for y'all because I knew we were going to be short on time. So what happens is, like right now we're in October. I have a 6-month report. Here's the way it works. Is I pull in Service Titan. I want to know every customer I've seen in the last, in this 6 months, and I throw it into Excel. I pull a report. I want to know every customer I've seen in the last 6 months. So this is the current month, right? So I pull 6-month period, put in Excel. I pull a 6-month period, put in Excel. Every customer we've ever been to, I don't care if they're plumbing, drain, AC or not. Once I do that, I remove anybody we've been to in this last 6 months from this first group of people. So let's say we started off and I had 1,500 names when I pulled this. Let's say I pulled this, we had 1,500 names. But of these 1,500, let's say that we saw 300 of those in this period. So now this list goes down to 1,200. Well, then I remove my service partner plan members. Let's say we had 200 of those. Now this list is 100. Well, then I remove anyone that's tagged under 8 years old, or basically it's 8 for a heat pump, it's 10 for gas. But let's just say that, and again, you might not have this data now, but once you do, this is going to be gold for you. Let's say it's, 500 of them. So now the list now goes down to 500. So I now have a list of 500 names that I'm going to give you a script for and show you how to book these. So you're going to have this 6-month report. Now what happens is once I get this information, I don't hand 500 lists out to all my CSRs. I break it down and I'll say, I want to know of these, how many were in November? Let's say it might have been 70. So now I would break that group of 70 up and I give it to, 30 to each CSR or whatever. And then I start, so once I got my list, you might go, okay, well, how do we book them? So I now created, and I did this just for y'all, but other people are going to use it. Okay, let me find it. Oh, and I said I did this just for y'all. I put a whole video in here. Created a form, a video. It looks like I don't even have it open. Let me grab it here real quick. And so this is going to teach you how you, and this is for you only, Michelle. I mean, do not let your CSRs watch these videos. I typically can make CSRs cry. So if I have a CSR meeting, it's got to be a total separate, a different person. But let me show you here. This was created just for y'all. Oh, what next star? Here you go, CSR report. So you're going to start. Remember, the CSR is an hourly department, right? I want you to get this form I'm going to send you. I made a video in here, and it's probably 30 to 40-minute video. This teaches you how do you manage your CSRs on outbound calling. So if the calls aren't there in the spring and fall, because what happens now is, correct me if I'm wrong, you print out a list, you give it to them, and you say, well, how are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm calling. I'm doing everything I can do. Well, if you remember, I don't like opinions because we can't judge those. We can't grade them. You might think something's bad, and I think it's bad, and we got two different agreements on that. So this is 100% a factual sheet that will show you how to manage the CSRs during this process. And I explain it. It's probably a 30 to 40-minute video. Explains exactly how you manage it, how you do it, what this sheet's used for. Basically, it comes down to when you're outbound calling, a CSR has to touch the phone once every 4 minutes. That's as simple as it is. And if you're not booking calls, by using this sheet, it's going to tell you where's the flaw. Are we not touching the phone enough? Is it our script? Is it, and the cool thing is with Service Titan, you can listen to their outbound. So you're going to hear me in this. That's why it's for you only. You're going to hear me in here say, when you start doing this to CSRs, man, they're going to start lying to you a lot. Just because of the same reason. They're humans. They don't like to, every day they have to say, hey, and when you roll this out, and you only use this in the spring and fall. Don't use this when you have a lot of demands coming in. This would be introduced if you had your huddle today, and I said, hey, so Michelle, how many calls we got on tomorrow? And you said, well, we've got 3. Okay, 3. How many we need? 33. And how comfortable do you feel that you're going to get those other 30? You're going to say, hell no, they're not coming in, and of course we would have caught this before today, but let's say you're at 20, but you don't feel comfortable you're going to get the other 13. As a general manager, if I'm running the huddle, I'm going to say, cool, let's go ahead and roll out the contact report. It's about that time of year, the vans stop coming in. This has me walking you through exactly how to do it, and you will get the results and get them booked. And now the cool thing is you're now going to have areas you know where to get the list from. So my first list is cherry pick. You now have to put all the stuff to get it. My second list is your 6-month report. Okay. My third list at that point, yeah, you could go to your service partner plan members, but we want to use them last. Those are the easiest to book, and that's typically why we go there first. But yet they're not the best calls for us to run unless we know the ages of them all. Then it could be. Does all this make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So I would like to do more calls with you, but I have another call here in 1 minute. I'm going to send.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. I'm going to send you this video. I'm going to send you this, and then Jim, if you would click my calendar and book a call, maybe for whenever you want to do the technician call. But we need to make sure that the guys have watched that John Conway video probably 2 times between now and then, because I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on repeating all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to show them. I'm going to give them exactly word for word what they need to write, and tell them that the history behind it and how it was designed to create these turnovers. Because y'all don't track them on opportunities yet. When you do, you're going to really see the opportunity. You're going to like, holy crap, this guy's turning over 70%. This guy's turning over 10%. But you thought they were doing the same just because we weren't tracking it right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so quick, my count, and so Michelle, feel free once you watch all this, because this call was mainly for you anyway. I just wanted the other managers to understand what you're going to be doing and all the crap behind it. So feel free to email me questions. What I am going to ask you to do, any email question you ask me, I need you to carve in Jim Hamilton because he's y'all's coach and he's on the phone. And then what I'll do is I'll just respond to all with any answers I can. Okay?
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks,
You're
Scott.
more than welcome, and I hope you're all ready for a roller coaster because it's about to happen.
There you go. Thanks, brother.
All right, y'all take care. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to call you right back.